Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtatarastada Shri Srimati Divine Grace of Bhaichanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, BPT Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're reading from 3rd canto, chapter 21, conversation between Manu and Kardama, text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So this is 3rd canto, chapter 21, text 15. Tata sachaham parivodukama. Tata sachaham parivodukama. Samanasilam grihamedhadenum. Samanasilam grihamedhadenum. Upeyivan moolam ashesha moolam. Upeyivan moolam ashesha moolam. Durasaya kama dughangripasya. Durasaya kama dughangripasya. Tata sachaham parivodukama. Tata sachaham parivodukama. Samanasilam grihamedadhenum. Upeyivan moolam ashesha moolam. Durasaya kama dugangripasya. Tata sachaham parivodukama. Samanasilam grihamedadhenum. Upeyivan moolam ashesha moolam. Durasaya kama dugangripasya. Tata sachaham parivodukam. Samanasilam niradehaменum. Nirhestiyam moolam ashesha moolam. Grasashikama dugangripasya. Anyone else want to try? Tata sachaham parivodukama. Samanasilam grihamedadhenum. Ashesha moolam. Durasaya kama dugangripasya. Word for word, tata. Similarly, saha, myself, cha, also, aham, I, parivodukama, desiring to marry. Samanashilam, a girl of like disposition. Grihamedha, in married life. Denum, a cow of plenty. Upeyivan, have approached. Moolam, the root, lotus feet. Ashesha, of everything. Moolam, the source. Durasayaha, with lustful desire. Kama duga, yielding all desires. Angripasya, of you who are the tree. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Chanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki Jai. Translation to text, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Text 15. Therefore, desiring to marry a girl of like disposition, who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my married life, to satisfy my lustful desire, I too have sought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything, for you are like a desire tree. Purport. In spite of his condemning persons who approach the Lord for material advantages, Kardama Muni expressed his material inability and desire before the Lord by saying, "Although I know that nothing material should be asked from you, I nevertheless desire to marry a girl of like disposition." The phrase "like disposition" is very significant. Formerly, boys and girls of similar dispositions were married. The similar natures of the boy and girl were united in order to make them happy. Not more than 25 years ago, and perhaps it is still current, parents in India used to consult the horoscope of the boy and girl to see whether there would be factual union in their psychological conditions. These considerations are very important. Nowadays, marriage takes place without such consultation, and therefore soon after the marriage there is divorce and separation. Formerly, husband and wife used to live together peacefully throughout their whole lives, but nowadays it is a very difficult task. Kardama Muni wanted to have a wife of like disposition because a wife is necessary to assist in spiritual and material advancement. It is said that a wife yields the fulfillments of all desires in religion, economic development, and sense gratification. If one has a nice wife, he is considered to be a most fortunate man. In astrology, a man is considered fortunate who has great wealth, very good sons, or a very good wife. Of these three, one who has a very good wife is considered the most fortunate. Before marrying, one should select a wife of like disposition and not be enamored by the so-called beauty or other attractive features for sense gratification. In the Bhagavatam 12th canto, it is said that in Kali Yuga, marriage will be based on the consideration of sex life. As soon as there is a deficiency in sex life, the question of divorce will arise. Kardama Muni could have asked his benediction from Uma, for it is recommended in the scriptures that if anyone wants a good wife, he should worship Uma. But he preferred to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it is recommended in the Bhagavatam that everyone, whether he is full of desires, has no desire, or desires liberation, one should worship the Supreme Lord. Of these three classes of men, one tries to be happy by fulfillment of material desires, another wants to be happy by becoming one with the Lord, with the Supreme, and another, the perfect man, is a devotee. He does not want anything in return from the personality of Godhead. He only wants to render transcendental, loving service. In any case, everyone should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he will fulfill everyone's desire. The advantage of worshipping the Supreme Person is that even if one has desires for material enjoyment, if he worships Krishna, he will gradually become a pure devotee and have no more material hankering. Translation again. Therefore, desiring to marry a girl of like disposition, who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my married life, to satisfy my lusty desire, I too have sought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything, for you are like a desire tree. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam bhangam langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Tirtharanam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing the prayers offered by Kardama Muni to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu himself. So in yesterday's verses, or the previous day verses, we're hearing about how Kardama Muni glorifies the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see, the standard of prayers to the Supreme Lord, especially those seen by the prayers offered by the demigods, you'll see that they'll glorify the Supreme Lord, and at the end of it, they'll ask something from Him in return. Whereas the pure devotees, what they will do is that they will pray to the Supreme Lord and simply pray to the Supreme Lord for His mercy. Simply begging for His mercy to be able to perform devotional service. Nothing more, nothing less. So, of these two, it seems here that Kardama Muni falls into the category of someone wanting some material benefit in return, right? Because if you see, in previous verse, yesterday, he's saying that actually those who take shelter of your lotus feet, they're able to cross over the ocean of material existence. In other words, they get liberation, right? Yes? No? By worshipping Krishna, you don't get liberation? Yes? No, you don't. Yes, you do. Okay, sorry. This one, I don't know. Which one is yes, right? No. Okay. Like just, trying to crack your neck or something. Yeah. Okay. So idea here is that by worshipping Gopinath's lotus feet, then it's like a boat that travels across the ocean of material existence. You're able to attain his abode, Krishna's abode. But then Kardama Muni says something else. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, okay, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. So what is Kardama Muni saying? Yesterday, in the verse, he's saying there that, all liberated souls, or those who want to be liberated, they worship your lotus feet, so they can cross over the ocean of material existence and attain liberation. Okay? So they attain your lotus feet for that purpose. But there are those who are less intelligent. Rather than going for the best benediction, they're going for something little less. It's like going to the market and you get the best quality fruit, right? But then you go, I will buy, for the same price, I'll buy a low quality fruit. Is it any intelligent? No intelligence, right? But this is what's happening when you worship the Lord for material desires. You're making the same endeavor, the same effort, but you're asking for the wrong thing. So that is called a poor fund of knowledge, Prabhupada says, or lack of intelligence. Murka, fool. Right? One is a fool if he goes to the Lord for such a thing. You can get the best thing from the Lord by just a simple endeavor of offering a leaf, water, flower. Just with a little bit of devotion, you can get the best. But here, less intelligent people, they endeavor so hard to offer so many things to the Lord without devotion to try and bribe Him for some material enjoyment. And that material enjoyment can be attained everywhere in any form of life. It'll come. Distress will come. Naturally, happiness will come also. Material happiness. Okay. So here he's saying that even though they may worship you like that, still His Supreme Lord, Shri Radha Gopinath, are merciful enough to bestow mercy even upon them. And we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Krishna sees a devotee, a foolish devotee, come to him and asking for material benediction, he says, I'm not a fool. I won't satisfy his material desires. Rather, I will do it in such a way that he'll never want material desires again. I will give him the nectar of my lotus feet so that he'll never want material desires ever again. So this is the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not like some machine, in and out. There's no, he's not like a mechanical machine where, you have to satisfy the criteria to put something in to get something out. He's a person. Person means individuality, and person means emotions and feelings. And the Supreme Lord understands our position as individual souls, part and parcel of Him. Right? So here, what I'd like to bring out more importantly is that Kardama Muni is being honest. This is the most crucial thing in Krishna consciousness, to be sincere and honest. If you are honest with yourself and honest with Krishna, then you can overcome all shortcomings in your devotional service. Because if you're not honest, what will happen? You'll become proud very easily. This lack of humility, this lack of honesty, you see all of these qualities, they come down to one simple thing. Recognizing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and recognizing us as simply parts and parcels of Him. And our duty is to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan Ki Jai. Our duty is simply to worship and serve them. That's all. Jivera Surupa Hoy? Nityara Krishna Das or Krishnera Nitya Das? I heard both. Okay. So you need to understand our service mentality is very important. We need to be focused on serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the essence of our existence. Sugar cannot taste like salt, no matter how much you try. And you cannot make salt very sweet, because that is its dharma. Same thing with the living entity. We are servants of the Lord. Regardless of what material desires we have, regardless of the fallen condition we are still the Supreme Personality of Godhead's servants. We're foolish, we're pretty dumb servants to have come here to the material world and desired something separate from Him. But let's put that aside. Main thing is we are His servants. The basic thing is that we are His servants. So, naturally for a devotee who understands, I am a servant of the Supreme Lord, means that He is my maintainer. What does that mean? Anything the devotee wants, he will ask from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are so many lectures where Prabhupada will say, why are you struggling so hard in material existence? The ant is getting its grain of sugar and the elephant is getting its ton of grain. But why are you struggling so hard in material existence? You do not think Krishna will supply for you if He's supplying for them? Are they worshipping Him, praying to Him? No. They're simply engaged in their activities under the modes of nature. Still Krishna is supplying to them. Why will He not supply to you who are devotees? Why you over-endeavor in your activities simply to maintain the body? So Prabhupada would say, just live simply. Just to live simply, just to maintain body and soul together. You see here, Kardama Muni's mentality is that his spiritual master, Lord Brahma, has instructed him to procreate, to propagate the praja, or in other words, the living entities within the material world, to give them an opportunity to express their material desires through a material body. So he has performed tapasya with that mood, and he approached the Supreme Lord of all people. Why did he approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Prabhupada says here, he preferred to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it's recommended in the Bhagavatam. End of story. Right? Why did he worship? Because he wanted to follow in the instructions of his spiritual master Lord Brahma and from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because you remember the Chatur Shloki was given, Srimad Bhagavatam was given to Brahma by Krishna, and Krishna then Brahma was able to understand Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses. Then he expanded on them and he disseminated that knowledge to Narad Muni. And of course he would have disseminated or given that knowledge to his sons, such as Prajapati Kardama. So Kardama Muni is following in the instructions of his spiritual master. But still he understands, being honest, he understands his position. There's that verse in Bhagavad Gita, Mityacharasya Uchyate. Right? There's that verse in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna mentions in the 3rd chapter. Can you get Gita? In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned there specifically that one who is, like Prabhupada writes in the purport, that it's better to be a simple street sweeper than a charlatan meditator. He's repeating what his Guru Maharaj is saying actually.
Because his Guru Maharaj was saying, it's better to be honest. It's better to be an honest person when coming to perform one's duty, rather than trying to be someone great, when beyond your qualification. I'll try and find it. The verse always escapes me. Maybe because I don't want to remember, because I am myself am a Mityachara. Karmendriyani samyamya ya aste manasasmaran indriyani vimudatan vivud atma Mityachara sa uchate. One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. So, one who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on sense objects. We have experience of that, right? Yeah, we have experience of dry renunciation. You've heard of dry renunciation before? No? Falgu Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya means that although you may say, no, I will not do this, no, I will not do that, no, I will not do this, still in the mind one still has the desires to enjoy. And one enjoys within the mind rather than physically trying to enjoy, one enjoys mentally. Like Prabhupada gives the example, or Prabhupada, I think Radhanath Maharaj was giving this example. He mentions how, there are yogis that go on Mauna Vrata. They don't say anything. They sit down and meditate and they just sit there. And one disciple of this such Baba, he came and he's telling everyone, my spiritual master hasn't spoken for 20 years, He's such an elevated soul. He's performed Mauna Vrata for so long. And so when Radhanath Maharaj, I believe, he went and he saw this Baba, he was quietly sitting. When everyone left, he took out his slate and started writing with chalk. And he was talking to the next Baba next to him by writing and showing the chalk, the slate. And the other person was showing his blackboard, his little slate, and writing. And they were both rubbing and writing like that. So what is the difference, right? Mauna Vrata means you keep quiet. Whether you write or you speak, it's no communication whatsoever. But still, because the desire is there within the mind, it somehow or other expresses itself in a different way. So the same way Krishna, he tells Arjuna that one who, restrains the senses but still, within the mind, such a person is a pretender. We don't want to be pretenders in Krishna consciousness. Because if we are pretenders in Krishna consciousness, who are we really cheating? Are we really cheating the devotees around us? Are we cheating the general mass of people? Are we cheating Gopinath? No, who are we cheating? We're simply cheating ourselves. What does it mean to cheat ourselves? We're cheating ourselves of the opportunity to go home back to Godhead within this lifetime. In other words, we're missing out. We're missing out on the greatest opportunity Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. In the worst places, the best opportunity is given of going home back to Godhead simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You see, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Dukhangri Pasya. In other words, his lotus feet yield all desires. In other words, he is like a Kalpavriksha. He is a Kalpavriksha. He can fulfill the desires of everyone and anyone. Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udharidi tivrena bhakti yogena yajata purusha param. Prabhupada quotes this here, that he preferred, Kardama Muni preferred to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it is recommended in the Bhagavatam that everyone, whether he is full of desires, has no desires, or desires liberation, should worship the Supreme Lord. It's a very important point to note. We have desires. We all have material desires. Hopefully. I'm right. If you don't have material desires, please forgive me. That means you're a liberated soul. But at least I have material desires. So we can understand that one who has material desires, you pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for protection. Right? There's that Leela of Prabhupada. He is standing there and praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in one temple. I believe it's in London. And suddenly one of his secretary or his traveling disciple asked him, "So Prabhupada, what were you praying?" And Prabhupada said, "I was praying to Srimati Radharani to please protect me from Maya." And another place Prabhupada said, my only concern is that my disciples don't have a healthy fear of Maya. My disciples don't fear Maya, he is saying in another place. So you have desires, you have to express to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jayapataka Maharaj mentions, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj mentions that if you want something, you won't get it unless you ask. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is ready to give, but you need to beg. You have to be ready to beg, then only Mahaprabhu will give. But if you can't be honest with yourself, how will you be able to beg? Right? How will you be able to ask anything if you're not honest with yourself? You're simply hiding behind a thin facade, some image. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Upadi. You've heard of this word upadi before? It refers to different types of bodies. It can be the physical body or subtle body. Different impressions, different identities or identification. I am this, I am that, I am male, I am female, I am black, I am white. Prabhupada says, I am American, I am Indian. Like that. That's an upadi. It's an unnecessary thing, but it's a material designation. That needs to be given up. And if one is not honest, then naturally one will hold on to such facade or that disguise and try to act like that in the material world. So Kardama Muni is showing us how to be transparent and clear, at least with oneself and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is he saying? That even though he's saying, less intelligent persons, they'll come to you desiring some material benedictions. Still he's coming, please, I therefore desiring to marry a girl of like disposition, who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my married life. To satisfy my lustful desire, I too have sought shelter of your lotus feet, which is the source of everything, for you are like a desire tree. So what are we learning? We're learning that regardless of what level of devotion we are, we must always approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kardama Muni could have asked his benediction from Uma, because it's recommended. Second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Remember? There's this whole section that Sukadev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj, that those who want a beautiful wife, a beautiful husband, they worship Lord Shiva. Those who want a beautiful wife, worship Lord Uma. Those who want material opulences, worship Lord Indra. So on and so forth. Like that, right? So he's mentioning all of these things. Then finally he's telling one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udarati. Right? So here, Kardama Muni is showing the greatest intelligence by approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead for material desires. So we too should follow in that footsteps. Being stuck in the material world, having a material body, we have material desires. And it's not wrong to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to satisfy such desires. But at the same time we should understand that is not the highest stage of devotional service. So there is a goal we have, and there is an understanding of where we are in material existence. Okay? And there's a big gap between both of them. Reality, where we are, our adhikar, our current qualifications, and where we want to go in terms of our aspirations of attaining highest level of devotional service, right? Yeah, there's a big gap, right? Those who don't recognize that gap, who are dishonest, they'll immediately become what is known as prakrita sahajiyas. There are those living entities or devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who jump beyond their qualification and think that they are an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, completely free from material existence, and that they can act like one of the pure devotees of the Lord. Because they don't recognize that gap between where they are and the standard of pure devotional service. Okay? So if you understand that gap, you're honest with yourself, then naturally one approaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead for mercy and begs to be able to bridge that gap. And that's how one is able to attain pure devotional service. It's a simple example, but we may overlook it. Prabhupada, one day in morning walk, early days, and he's with a disciple that has a child. And so Prabhupada gets into the car, and he sees the child, and he says, monkey style. Or he asks, so monkey style or cat style? And this disciple asks, this Mataji asks, sorry Prabhupada, Swamiji, I don't understand. And Prabhupada tells, oh, cat style or monkey style? Sorry Prabhupada, I don't understand. And Prabhupada explains that actually you see the yogis and the impersonalists, you see all of the mystic, you see the Ashtanga yogis, you see all of these Gyanis, they are all following the monkey style. You see monkey, the mother monkey will walk and the baby monkey will hold on to the mother monkey for its life. Right? Mother monkey will jump from branch to branch and the child will hold on to the mother. Mother cannot take care or hold on to the child while jumping from one branch to the other. So there's every risk of the child falling from its mother's grip. Right? But Prabhupada says the devotees are like cat style. You see the kitten will sit there. A mother will come and with its jaw will pick up the kitten. The kitten can't do anything. It wants to jump, it cannot jump. It'll just simply, if you see it, you'll see the kitten will just, just hang there on the mother's jaw. Not doing anything, enjoying nicely. Mother will take from one place to the other and put down. Kitten can feel like that because of the shelter. Whereas the baby monkey has to hold on unless it will fall, with great tension. Right? So that is cat style, monkey style. The devotees, they simply take shelter of the Supreme Lord and completely depend on Him to carry their, as Krishna says, to carry what they lack and to preserve what they have. Yoga kshema vaham yaham. He was the one who will protect. That is cat style. Monkey style, however, is totally different. Monkey style is that one will do whatever they like, not following the authority, not following the standard scriptures, and, try to somehow or other advance and get liberation on their own strength. On their own strength. Which is pretty foolish, because already you're stuck in material existence. You cannot get out. How by your own strength you can get out? It's not possible. You're bound up, finished. So, this is the cat style and this is the monkey style. And Kardama Muni is showing the ideal behavior of a devotee. Whatever we want, whatever we desire, we go to the Supreme Personality and ask Him. But there's a way of asking. When Prabhupada was going through periods of so-called sickness, when his health was deteriorating, devotees used to perform 24-hour kirtans in all the centers of ISKCON at that time. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is what's giving me strength. And he said that you can also pray to the Lord, that our spiritual master, I can't remember the prayer exactly. Our spiritual master is currently sick. Please, he's not fulfilled his spiritual master's instructions. So you please kindly, if you so desire, please kindly heal him, or I can't seem to remember exactly. Or if you so kindly desire, then please make him better. I don't remember the exact words. But here the point behind it is that Prabhupada was teaching his disciples one simple thing. You had a desire, you pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nobody else. But be detached, because the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Enjoyer. He will decide what He wants to do. So therefore Prabhupada has specifically put in the prayer, if you so desire. Right? If you so desire. This is the mood of a devotee. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I like this verse so much actually, because in the purport, Prabhupada talks about, he breaks down the mood of a devotee during happiness and distress. Because that's all we think about nowadays, right? Happiness and distress. When will I be able to enjoy, and when will I be able to avoid distress? That's unfortunately the only thing that we think about by default in our mind. So here, Krishna tells Arjuna, this section of Bhagavad Gita, this last section of second chapter. Okay, dukkeshu anudignamana, sukeshu dvigitaspраha, vitaraga bhaya krodha stitadir muniruchyate. This is 256. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. So this is how a person who is merged in transcendence, or a person who is in samadhi, acts. Okay, and Prabhupada teaches us how a devotee acts here. coming straight down, in the purport he says that if some Krishna conscious person is disturbed by the onslaughts of material miseries, he accepts it as mercy of the Lord. How? I deserve worse, but Krishna has given me less. Okay? I deserve worse, but Krishna has given me less. Similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord. How does he give credit? Thinking himself unworthy of the happiness, he realizes that it is due to only the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable position and able to render better service to the Lord. The mood or the mentality is always Krishna's in the center. Anything negative that happens or difficulties that I go through is because of my own doing, but Krishna has reduced it. I don't know what more I should have suffered, but Krishna has reduced. This is His mercy. Anything good happens, you don't immediately think, yeah, it's because of me. Right? You don't immediately go out and enjoy fully to your heart's content. No, the devotee thinks that these facilities that Krishna has given is His mercy to be able to render more loving devotional service to Him. It's His mercy. So therefore I will try my best to engage everything He has given in His service. You see, Krishna doesn't give facilities that easily for His service. Krishna is not so cheap. Right? Shri Radha Gopinath are not so cheap. They give themselves very freely to those who engage in their service sincerely. But those who want to cheat, Gopinath is no fool. Right? So then the question then comes, then how we can become honest, how we can become humble like Kardama Muni. You see, Kardama Muni knows the standard, right? He just mentioned in the previous verse, you're a fool if you go and worship the Lord for material desires. But here himself, he's saying, I am that fool. This is the desire I have. Right? Where does that come from? And these prayers don't stop here, they'll continue. And when he finishes praying, you'll see how obliged the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to Kardama Muni. You'll read these prayers and you'll think, look at this guy, he's just going to the Lord for, getting married. Like, a couple of weeks ago, Devikanandan Prabhu mentioned how in the temple, how by Krishna's arrangement, they came to the temple, how Krishna's arrangement they met together, how by Krishna's arrangement both girl and boy got married, and how by Krishna's arrangement they never saw those two people again. Right? Yeah? So you see, there's a difference between that and this. Kardama Muni's desire is to engage it in Krishna's service. You see, he's not wanting to get married of his own accord. This is his humility. He wants to get married to carry out the instructions of his spiritual master. He's saying that, I want someone of like disposition. And Prabhupada saying in the purport, talking about the intricacies or the mechanics of marriage. How the girl and boy are of same disposition, the life will be happy, the married life will be happy, and one will make progress towards spiritual advancement. Never misunderstand when Prabhupada says married life will be happy in the sense that sense gratification will be there. No. Married life will be happy in the sense that both husband and wife will be able to progressively go forward in their Krishna consciousness. They'll be able to perform devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They won't be bogged down or entangled by material engagement. So this is what it means by a happy married life. So that's the first half of the Bhagavad, of the purport Prabhupada talks about. And the second half is what we mentioned before. If anyone has anything, any desires, you simply worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But you should still keep in mind that actually the standard is that a pure devotee does not want anything in return. He only wants to render transcendental loving service. So therefore, what's required of us as a take-home point or a practical point is that we need to continuously immerse our consciousness in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, chanting the holy name, following the four regulative principles. Why? Because if we constantly immerse ourselves in this devotional service, then naturally, gradually, we'll understand what the level of devotional service is. We'll begin to aspire for such devotional service. and at the same time we'll begin to see where we are and where we're lacking. And through such honesty, we'll be able to develop more and more dependency on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We'll be able to develop a greater surrender and shelter in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvatmana ye saranam saranyam gato mukundam parihritya kartam. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana sarvai gunais Yasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana I'm mixing up verses. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahad guna. I'm mixing up verses. Saratnam ye saranam saranyam gato mukundam parihitakartam. This is the one where he mentions how one would take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. One is able to cross over the ocean of material existence like a hoof print on a calf. Right? So I can't remember the first half. It's a very famous verse. Padam padam yad vipadam. A similar verse like that. Anyway, I can't remember it. So one who takes shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're able to cross over the material existence. Right? As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam papadyante tamstatevya bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manusya partha sarvashaha. To the degree we surrender, to the degree we take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to that degree our advancement of Krishna consciousness will be. So don't mistake, again, Prabhupada saying in the end of this purport, because you see, the standard is being mentioned. A devotee does not pray to the Lord for anything except devotional service. So that makes us feel bad, right? I have these desires, but I can't fulfill these desires. I can't express these desires. So therefore, the advantage of worshipping the Supreme Person is that even if one has desires for material enjoyment, if he worships Krishna, he will gradually become a pure devotee and have no more material hankering. So, by worshipping the Lord, one gradually becomes purified. That term gradually means there is some time involved. What does that mean? It means the more and more we take shelter of Krishna for satisfying our material desires, the more and more we're delaying our going home back to Godhead. That is what is meant by gradual. Time-based. The less and less we take shelter of the desires and pray to the Supreme Lord that please help me get rid of these desires. Yadidasya sime kaman varam stum vardarshaba kamanam hridaya samroham bhavatastur varnevaram. Prahlad Maharaj is a standard, exemplary standard, he said, of devotional service. Because you see, he was harassed by his father to the point of death. Nrsingadev saved him. And Lord Nrsingadev, after hearing the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, and what was Prahlad Maharaj's prayers? Look, you see all of these great personalities here. Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, goddess of fortune, they're all there. But not one of them have been able to attain the mercy of having your hand on their head. But just see me. I am born in the demon dynasty. I am born in the family of demons. I am the worst of all categories of living entities. But you have put your hand on me. You have put your hand on me. How great is your mercy? How fortunate am I? You see, that is his mood. And Nrsingadev, feeling such great pleasure, he asks, what benediction you want? Ask any benediction, I'll satisfy. Give me a benediction. Because you see, the Supreme Personality of God is not some dumb stone. He is a person. So naturally, when someone satisfies you, you feel obliged to be able to reciprocate with them. So don't think Krishna is some sort of, machine. You worship me, I give you something in return. That's the demigod's business. That's their business. As Prahlad Maharaj tells Nrsingadev, after Nrsingadev asks, my Lord, I don't want anything actually. You see, if I ask for anything, this relationship between you and me will become like that of business. Right? Just like a merchant will leave a business deal after, he gets his money. Just as a servant after getting paid will leave his master. Right? Why should I have such a material transaction between you? I don't want anything. But then Nrsingadev pushes, no, I must give you something. So what does Prahlad Maharaj ask for? You please liberate my father. But Nrsingadev was not satisfied with that. That's why he then pushes. So then he says, Yadi dasya sime kaman varam stum varadharshabha kamanam hridaya samroham bhavatastu varevaram. that, my dear Lord, O best of the givers of benediction, if you at all desire to give me any benediction, please let there be no trace of material desire within the core of my heart. Such a beautiful prayer, right? He's asking the Lord to become a pure devotee, although he himself is a pure devotee. This is the standard of our devotional service that we should attain. So rather than going for material desires and trying to satisfy them, we should pray to the Lord that if you so desire, please let me overcome these material desires and only aim for your pure loving devotional service. But you will not get the strength to offer such a prayer with such a full heart unless you engage in devotional service, unless you read Srimad Bhagavatam, unless you chant your rounds, unless you follow the four regulative principles, unless you take shelter of the devotees and take their association. Otherwise you will not have the strength. Instead, what you will have is this conflicting emotions within the core of the heart. One leg in both boat. You know what that means? One boat going this way, one boat going that way. You have leg in both. What will happen? Pain only, right? Right? It's like having two train tracks and suddenly they diverge little by little by little. What will happen down the track? Accident, disaster, calamity, right? So that constant churning within the core of the heart can only be pacified by engaging in Gopinath's service, by engaging in reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Because what's happening in the core of the heart is this constant struggle, tug of war. I want this in my life. I want to satisfy my senses. But at the same time, I learnt that I should satisfy Krishna's senses to be able to be fully satisfied. But no, I have to struggle so hard for that. I might as well enjoy material existence. It's very easy, I'm so used to it. So the constant struggle in the heart happens. But to become purified of such illusion, we have to constantly immerse ourselves in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Because within the core of the heart, it's just simply rubbish. Right? It's just simply rubbish. You sometimes sit down and chant, right? How much rubbish comes in the mind? Constant conflicting things. Last year I did this, 10 years ago I did that, you should try like this, you should do like that, I have to do this, I have to do that, need to enjoy like this, they're enjoying like that, how come I'm not enjoying? Constant turmoil in the head. But it all comes down to one thing, trying to enjoy this material world as the master. But we are not the master. We are simply servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are Nityara Krishna Das, or Krishnera Nitya Das. We are simply servants of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Our enjoyment comes by connecting everything in Krishna's service. Just like you water the root of the tree, you don't water the leaves and the branches. You water the root of the tree for the tree to be nourished. You take food and the food must reach the stomach for the whole body to get nourishment, right? Have you noticed? No matter how much you eat something very nicely, it's very tasty, you leave it on the tongue. Can you leave it there for a long time? No, there's the instant desire to swallow and put it in the stomach, right? Once when I came to Krishna consciousness, I think it's like 10 years ago, we were having Sunday feast and one devotee said, I have an experiment. I said, okay, tell. He was a senior devotee and he said, put this Sunday feast in your mouth, okay? And don't swallow, just follow what I said. I said, okay. You chew, so chew and leave it there and taste. Then you chew again, okay, and leave it there and taste. You continue doing like this. After some time I got so frustrated, I got so impatient. How long I came after such one whole week of suffering in material existence. I want to enjoy Sunday feast. What is he telling me to do? I swallowed, I took another bite and swallowed. Who is this? I'm not following this experiment. But he was telling, see, you eat because your tongue actually says, taste, 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 taste. But actually, the stomach needs to be satisfied to be actually be able to taste fully. If you're full, your sense of taste you won't be able to enjoy, right? You're so full, you take so much gulab jamun, right? And you're so full, and the server comes and says, Prabhu, Mataji, would you like one more gulab? No way, just put it somewhere else. I don't want to see gulab jamun for the rest of my life, right? Like that, right? Because you're so full. But just before you ate, the taste desire was there, right? How come the taste went away? It's because you're satisfied in the stomach. Same way, if you serve Krishna and Krishna is satisfied, you will be automatically satisfied. And you may think, but like I don't have any experience of that. You have experience. That's why you're still sitting here. That's why you're still practicing Krishna consciousness. That's why you're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class. Because that taste you have received, no matter how sleepy you are, no matter how hungry you are, you're still sitting here and hearing, right? Those who are online are a bit lucky. They can press pause, go and come back. It's recorded. I'll come back to it later. Right? But you guys can't pause. Why? Because there's still some taste in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Because it pleases Gopinath that you are thinking of all the things I could be doing in the world right now. It's better I sit down here and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Don't you think that pleases Gopinath? Don't you think you're putting Gopinath as the first priority? Right? So naturally Gopinath will reciprocate. He'll be satisfied within the core of his heart, and you will be satisfied within the core of your heart. Okay? So coming back, the point I wanted, or the theme, if it wasn't so obvious, was that we need to be honest in our Krishna consciousness. And that honesty will help us progress in devotional service. That honesty will allow us to have utsahan, enthusiasm, nischayat dhairyat, to have the determination and the patience to perform devotional service, and prevent us from falling down into material existence. Because if we're honest, then Gopinath will be very pleased with us. And we can have an open relationship with Gopinath. You don't just simply come and say, I need this, I need that, okay, bye. You go and you come back, I did not get this, but I want this, and then you never come back ever again. You see, sometimes there are people who come to this temple. I've seen it for such a long time. They'll come and put a couple of coins in the hundi, and they'll pray to the Lord, and they'll leave. And they'll come and put a couple of coins. And sometimes I think they're more consistent in devotional service than I am. Because every morning they'll come and put, pray and go. Come and put, pray and go. Right? So, you can see that I diverged a little bit. Do you see the mentalities that someone may come, they may or may not. They may have the devotion that whatever little I'm offering you to you, Gopinath, please accept it, and they're going. They could have. But I'm saying the general mentality of materialists is that they put money in the hundi, I put $1, now you have to make me millionaire. Gopinath is some sort of, cash machine. You put $1, now make me millionaire. And if that doesn't happen, you don't see them in the temple until Janmashtami next year. Right? So that's not the mentality. The mentality is, Gopinath, whatever you want, that will be fulfilled. Let that be fulfilled. But I have this material desire. If you think I'm qualified, if you think that it's possible for me to satisfy, then please kindly give it to me. That is the mood. That is what we should have. And this is what Kardama Muni is showing. That he's praying to the Lord here. He knows the standard of devotional service. But he's saying, look, I'm desiring to marry. I have this desire. Please kindly fulfill this desire. Okay? But if you want to see it from a holistic picture, Kardama Muni is praying because he had received instruction from his authority. And Kardama Muni is no ordinary living entity. That he was just performed some devotional service and the Lord appeared. That's not an ordinary living entity. Such a person is a devotee of a high caliber. So he is being put there as an example. And later on you see Kardama Muni enjoying with Devahuti in many palaces and so much yogic siddhis and everything like that. But don't get distracted by that, thinking Kardama Muni is some materialist. Kardama Muni is a devotee of the Lord. So much so, this is a point I want to mention. I'll finish with this point. So much so that the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as his son. Kardama Muni is not ordinary living entity, no ordinary devotee. He is a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he didn't just leave home like that because he wanted to perform austerities. He was attached to penances and everything. Because what is the goal of austerity? What is the goal of penances? What is the goal of detachment? To become attached to Krishna, right? Ruchis asaktis bhava prema. Prem. Asakti means detachment from the material world. Ruchi means the taste for Krishna consciousness. Bhava means the preliminary love of Godhead. And prema means the full-blown, complete